Welcome back to 3065, everyone. Today we're going deep into the world of AI specifically, a new Google AI research paper that's got me, well, pretty fired up. It's about making AI more trustworthy, and honestly, who couldn't use a bit more of that these days?
Yeah, absolutely. And what's really interesting here is it's not just about making AI, smarter faster. It's about making it more honest about what it doesn't know.
Oh, I like that. AI with a little humility. Tell me more.
So the paper, it talks about how a lot of AI today, it's trained on data that's kind of like, imagine listening to a friend who loves to tell stories,
Okay.
right? But maybe they tend to embellish a tad too much sometimes.
Right, right.
You might get some interesting ideas, sure, but
Mm.
not necessarily, accurate ones.
Like getting your facts from a friend who loves a good fishtail. So, how does Google want to tackle this? What's their solution?
Well, they're introducing this concept they call data commons,
Data Commons.
which
Yeah.
is basically, think of it like a massive database of real-world statistics, but like specifically for AI to tap into.
So, like a gigantic, meticulously organized encyclopedia, but like just for AI?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
But even more than that, it's what makes it different from just like giving AI access to Wikipedia is the quality and structure of the data.
Okay.
We're talking over 250 billion data points, and it's constantly growing, being updated. From sources like, the UN, the
Wow.
CDC, global census data, incredibly reliable
Okay,
sources.
so it's like it's all fact checked. It's not just random stuff.
And crucially, it's all organized in a standardized way that makes it searchable for AI.
So, no more needing to like speak database
Yeah,
to get the info. It's like
exactly.
it's translating it in a way that AI can actually process.
It's like translating it into a language that AI can understand.
Got it.
And get this, you can even search it using natural language, just like we do.
Oh, wow.
This means AI can potentially access and understand this information much more effectively.
Okay, so we've got this incredible organized database of facts, but how do we actually get the AI to use it?
Right.
It's like you can give someone a library card, but that doesn't automatically make them a scholar.
You're absolutely right. And that's where the really innovative part of this research comes in, figuring out how to teach AI not just what, but when to use this incredible resource.
So how do they teach the AI to actually use this data commons effectively? It's like you can give someone all the best tools in the world, but they still need to know when and how to use them, right?
Precisely. And that's what's so fascinating about this research. The paper explores two main methods to do this, both with pretty catchy acronyms, I gotta say, RIG and RAG.
Rig and rag. Okay, I'm all about a good acronym. Breaks things down nicely. So let's start with a rig. What's that all about?
Okay, so RIG stands for Retrieval Interleave Generation.
Retrieval interleaved. Okay.
Yeah, it's a mouthful. But imagine the AI is working on a problem, right? Trying to generate a response. And it hits a point where it's not entirely sure about something.
It's like, I'm not sure about this.
Exactly.
Hmm.
RIG is like training the AI to essentially pause, recognize its own limitations, and go, hold on, let me double check this with the data commons before continuing.
I see. So it's like the AI is learning to fact check itself in real time, kind of?
Exactly. Less making things up as it goes along and more consulting the expert source.
Okay, I like that. So it's not just taking a shot in the dark, it's actually going back to the source. That makes a lot of sense. Did it work? Like when they tested this rig idea, did the AI actually stop and use the data commons when it needed to?
It did. The results were actually quite promising, especially when it came to factual accuracy.
Okay, so it actually helped.
Yeah. It seems teaching AI to recognize its own knowledge gaps really can make a difference.
Okay, I'm convinced. Rig, I'm liking it.
But RIG isn't the only approach they explored, right? So let's talk about RAG.
All right, on to RAG. What does that stand for and what's the general idea there?
So RAG stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation,
Retrieval Augmented Generation. Okay.
and it takes a slightly different approach. If RAG is about teaching the AI when to look for more information, a RAG is more like giving the AI all the potentially relevant information up front,
Okay.
like a mini encyclopedia tailored to the specific question it needs to answer.
So it's less about the AI knowing when to ask and more about giving it all the tools it might need kind of right from the get-go.
Exactly.
Okay. That makes sense. But I mean, isn't there a risk of information overload with that approach? Like, how does the AI not get lost in a sea of data with RAG?
That's a great question, and it highlights one of the key points the paper emphasizes. For our RAG to work effectively, You need a really powerful AI that can handle all of that extra information. And that's where Google's Gemini 1.5 Pro comes in.
Gemini 1.5 Pro. Okay, it sounds like we're talking about like superhero team-ups now. What makes this AI so special? Why is it particularly well suited to handle this whole RAG approach? Gemini 1.5 Pro, it sounds intense. What makes this specific AI so good at handling all that data?
Well, imagine trying to find the most relevant information on a topic, but instead of searching online, you're flipping through like thousands of books simultaneously.
Okay, yeah.
That's the challenge RA presents. And Gemini 1.5 Pro, it tackles this using something called transformer architecture.
Transformer architecture.
Essentially what it does is it analyzes the relationships between different data points, almost like creating a map of knowledge for the AI to navigate.
So it's not just about having access to the information, it's about understanding the connections between all those different pieces.
Right.
That's what this Gemini AI can do. So with all this in mind, with both these methods, RIG and RAG, how are they actually shaping up? Are they working?
The results are really promising, particularly with RAG.
Okay.
The researchers were very upfront about this being, cutting edge work. It's not perfect,
Right.
but it's a huge step in the right direction.
There's always that balance, right? Acknowledging the progress, but also being realistic about the limitations. So what are some of the limitations they encountered?
Well, one thing to keep in mind is that Data Commons, as comprehensive as it is, it doesn't contain everything. Right.
There are still gaps in the data.
Makes sense. You can lead an AI to knowledge, but you can't make it understand what hasn't been discovered yet, right?
Exactly. And even with access to this vast database, AI, even as advanced as Gemini, can still make mistakes.
Sure.
Sometimes, it misinterprets the question. Sometimes it struggles to pinpoint the most relevant data within Data Commons. But here's the important part. The research shows that with these methods, the AI is far more likely to ground its responses in actual verifiable data.
Okay, so it's not about eliminating mistakes entirely. It's about increasing the likelihood of getting things right and being able to back those answers up. That feels like a pretty significant shift.
It is. In fact, there's a table in the paper, Table 7, that lays out some really compelling statistics on this.
Oh, okay. It shows that when using ARG, the AI was far more likely to include specific statistical claims in its responses, jumps from like 9% to almost 30%.
Wow, that's huge.
Yeah, and even more importantly, the accuracy of those claims shot up dramatically.
So not only is it using real data more often, it's actually getting it right more often. That's a win-win. It feels like we're moving from AI says to AI proves.
Exactly. It's not just giving you an answer, it's showing its work. And that, to me, is really exciting. It opens up a whole new world of possibilities for how we interact with AI. Imagine asking your smart speaker about, I don't know, a local policy decision and getting an answer based not on some random internet forum, but on data from, like, the UN or the CDC.
Right.
That's powerful stuff.
It is. That's what has me so captivated by this research, It's not just about making AI smarter. It's about making it a more reliable and trustworthy partner in our quest for knowledge.
Totally.
And honestly, who wouldn't want that? Well, on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive. Thank you all for joining us here on 3065. And remember, keep asking those questions, even if the answers come from a really, really smart machine. We'll see you next time.